Hello and welcome back to a bit of a different video today. It's my 2024-25 Premier League predictions. I was just about to say that we're in the corners of Europe Challenge. We're not. If you're new here and looking at the Premier League predictions, make sure to go and check out all the Football Manager content that I do, and in particular the corners of Europe Challenge. But yeah, with the new Premier League season starting tomorrow, I thought I'd get this video out. Nice bit of alternate content that we can do and to show what I think will happen ahead of this new Premier League season. So everything's already in order. You probably won't be able to see everything, but I thought I'd do it in order just so I could, have clarity, and I didn't order it, whilst the video was going on. So it's not going to be, detailed. I'm just going to go through my opinions, how I think everything will work this season, and yeah, hopefully there's a few debatable decisions, so that can get some debate started in the comments or over in my Discord. The link to that will be on the screen now, and it's also in the bio. It should be on the screen now. If not, then I forgot to do it, but make sure to definitely go and check out the bio where it will be there. You can come and interact with me in the community there during in between videos and to talk about the videos, and also this video. If you've got some issues with my predictions, I'm sure there will be a few. You can come and discuss them with me there. So starting in the relegation spots, the three teams I have here include Nottingham Forest, Everton and Ipswich. First team, Nottingham Forest. I think for the 2 seasons they have been in the Premier League, it's been a bit unsustainable. They've got a load of quality players who they've brought in with all that money spent, but how long it can go on for, I don't know. And I think it's a good season this year. A lot of competitive teams it will be, but I think they are probably the team who would go down in 20th place. Above them, Everton. It would be a shame for them really to go into their new stadium for the first time being down. There's always that inevitable feel that they're going to stay up, which they do, but whether or not they kind of, in comparison to the quality of teams this year, I'm not too sure. The next team, Ipswich, coming up, newly promoted. I think it will be a similar case to Luton, not being here for a few years. I think they'll give themselves a really, really good account, and I think it will be this first season in the Premier League back for a very long time. It will be the basis of, growing, going into their next few years. I think if you compare it to Luton, which is a good example, it's a completely different story because they've had to climb up so much, but their end goal being the Premier League. They've had that first season, they've learned, they've got players who will stay there and have experience, and I think it will do them a lot of benefit, and it'll be similar for Ipswich. They might go down, they might just scrape it, but I think it will unfortunately be an 18th place, but a good, credible campaign for them. Looking ahead into the lower mid-table spots, the 5 teams in there include Leicester, Southampton, Wolves, Bournemouth and Fulham. Leicester I've gone with in 17th. I feel like their relegation was a little bit unlucky. They are a Premier League team these days, and with some of the quality they had in the Championship, winning the league as we saw, I think it would be reasonable for them to stay up. A lot of people thinking they might not, but I think they have got the quality to go on and do it, and hopefully they can do it because everything they did in 2016, they've been a real kind of underdog in the league for the past few years, but dropping out. I don't think it was. I think it's the reverse of what's going on with Luton. They've spent a season out of the Premier League, maybe for their own benefit, and now they'll come back and hopefully be the team that we saw a few years ago. Southampton above them, I think they're another Premier League team who were unfortunate to go down. I think their manager, I forgot his name now, it's gone on my mind, but their manager done a really good job with them. Obviously beat Leeds in the playoff final to get there, and I think some good solid football is what will keep them up. Wolves above them, what position are we on now? 17, 16, 15th place. I said a few seasons ago I felt like they would go down, and they nearly did actually. I think they've got some good players in there, whether or not they're players that will keep them, maybe challenging for the European spots as they were previously. I'm not too sure. That's why I think they may just stay in these positions, and it would take, some big signings, some good football to try and move them up. But for now, with the quality of teams we're going to be looking at above, I don't think they will be them who are going to be moving on up. Bournemouth ahead of them, I think they've had a good season, finishing in a high spot if I'm not mistaken, and the season before that, I'm thinking that they did really really well. So I think they can stay up. Been here a few years now, and it would be. I think they just have to continue to play how they have been. Some really good, talented players they've got in their team, and it should hopefully steer them to a 14th place finish. And then finally, in 13th place, we've got Fulham, the London club, the West London club, if I'm not mistaken, rivals with Chelsea. I think they've had a good, consistent few seasons, and I think it will be similar again. If they can just manage to continue how they're playing. I think all these clubs in this kind of category, if they just keep going as they are, then they'll stay in that position, and maybe they can elevate themselves. But I feel like with Fulham, just staying consistent is what will keep them in that position. Looking on up, we've got Brighton, new manager who's coming in from the Bundesliga, youngest manager I think the Premier League's ever seen. I've lost his name again, but he's coming in. I think he'll give them a nice brand of football. We've seen how good Brighton are. Dropped off a little bit with De Zerbi last year, but I think they will get. I think they could get that 12th spot, and it will be a platform to build on, especially going into the next few years where they'll be hoping to keep with their new manager. Brentford in 11th, maybe a little bit too high, but we saw, was it their, I don't think it was the second season, it's their fourth season now in the Premier League, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is their fourth season. It was the second season where they finished ninth. I think they could go and replicate something like that. Once again, another team with lots of good individual talent. I think they've got the spirit of the whole community, a really good team who've built themselves up and done a better job than, like Luton, for example. They've gone that one better, new stadium, good facilities, and I think it will take them to that 11th place finish. West Ham in 10th place, mid-table finish for them. I think they've lost the kind of element of, they were a really, really good team a few years ago, won the Conference League a few years ago, but I'm not sure if they can go much higher than that, finishing outside of the rest of the big teams, but still probably a good campaign we will see from them. I like watching West Ham. They've got some real good players, Mohamed Kudus, one of them, Paqueta, loads of different players like that, and I think at the London Stadium it will be another mid-table finish, and hopefully they can build on that new management as well for them. We'll have to see how it goes. Ninth place Newcastle. Now I think this is the area now from fifth to ninth where it's a bit of controversial and interesting decisions. I'm not too sure on it, to be honest. There's a team in there. You're wondering why the hell are they in there, but you'll have to see. I think Newcastle. I think they finished. Was it eighth or ninth this year? They finished. I think it was eighth, and Chelsea finished seventh. I think the Champions League campaign where they qualified, I want to say it was they played good football. Obviously, a little bit of luck in there though to do such thing. Good luck elements, some unfortunate results, but they were a good team, and they weren't able to sustain it. Whether or not they can go and get back into that position with the quality of teams we've got now, I'm not too sure. That's why I put them in ninth place. Chelsea in eighth place. I would like to put them a lot higher because they've got some great individual talent. New manager Enzo Maresca coming in. I remember that one coming in from Leicester. I think I want to say they go higher, but I think it will be the point where they start to gel as a team. They will, but I'm not too sure. There's been a dispute in the club. Players are returning from different points in their competitions, whether or not they have a good pre-season and good start to the season. I'm not sure. I think eighth is a reasonable spot, but could still qualify them. And Newcastle, if we get all the coefficients and teams win the competitions and stuff like that. I don't really know. Now on to the seventh place spot, the Conference League spot. I have gone for Crystal Palace in there. Now, you might be wondering, what are Crystal Palace doing in there? And I am really quite confident in this pick. If it fails, then fair enough. But The reason I've gone with them there is because I feel like the last few years, the last 10 years even, they've finished mid-table. The fans have been saying there's no ambition, there's no real fight to try and get that European spot. It's just stalemate every time in every season for them. I think Crystal Palace has been a project where once it's inherited, the right manager inherits it, they've got a real good job on their hands. They can go and take them to that European spot. It's only a few wins away from where they are at the moment. They're going to have to get results against big teams, but with Oliver Glasner as the heir to the Crystal Palace throne, he's playing a really good brand of football. He won the Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt a few years ago, and he's bringing in players from there. He plays a good, nice, solid formation. The 3-4-3, I'm a real fan of. You'll see it in the corners of Europe Challenge. I've re-brought it back to life because I used to be such a fan of it, and I am a fan of it. I think they've got a real good batch of talent. The loss of Elise I don't think will be too much of an issue for them because they got a lot of money up front for him, 50 million I think. I think this team has got the platform to go on and develop talents, improve and get that Conference League spot. So that's why I've put Crystal Palace in seventh. Arguably the most controversial pick, but you've heard my reasons. So that's exactly why. Fifth and sixth go to Tottenham and Aston Villa. Aston Villa, I think it's a similar situation to Newcastle. However, I think it will be a bit more sustainable for them. The quality of players they've got, some of the players they brought in. I've got a funny story actually. So one of my friends is a Aston Villa fan, and we were looking at the players who they should bring in, who they should strengthen. I said they should bring in Ian Matson. I said they should bring in Amadou Onana. They should bring in Jadon Sancho and they should bring in Romelu Lukaku. Now, Ian Matson has joined. That was 2 weeks before I said that. Amadou Onana has joined. Literally, they've both joined. I don't know how. I don't know what. I don't know. I don't know Unai. I don't know anyone at Villa, but they have both joined. Now, Sancho's probably not going to join. Lukaku probably not going to join, but I've got them both in, so that's fair enough. But I said, if this team can get them players in, I think they could get a quarter final of the Champions League, and they've brought two of them in, and they're going to bring in other players who Emery will be a fan of. I'm a fan of. I'm a very, manager with a big reputation, so I think they will be much more sustainable than Newcastle. Obviously, Newcastle dropped off to eighth place this season, not done too well in their Champions League campaign. I think Villa they'll obviously have more games because the league phase means they'll have eight. I think they'll get a minimum playoffs, so that's 10 games, and then I mean, at a minimum, even looking at that 10 games, it's more than Newcastle had to play. But I think they will do it because the quality of play they've got, Unai Emery knows what he's doing. Sixth place could even be higher, but it's only 2 spots down from where they were last year. And then finally, Tottenham in fifth place. I'm not sure where to put Tottenham. I'm really not. I'm conflicted because I was going to put maybe Chelsea up here. Probably not Newcastle. I probably would have put Newcastle eighth. I think it's between Chelsea and Tottenham, and I know they're at different points of the table, but I'm really not sure with them. I think they can get it, but it just changes a lot. But if it clicks for them and Ange knows what he's doing this season, he had a good start to the season, but I think it's the history of the Tottenham really not sustainable. But I think they consistently get this spot, and that's what my judgment has gone off. So that's why I've put them in fifth place. And I think I am a fan of them as well. I think they play really good football. They play the nice stadium, new nice stadium. Good players, good talent. And I just think I'm very conflicted as to whether they can do it. I think they can if they play a similar campaign to how they've done this year, finishing fifth place, making the Europa League. It'll be good for them in the Europa League as well, finally getting back to a bit of European action, which they missed out on last year. I think they can do it. I think they can do it. It's just a case of I feel like Chelsea know what they're doing a little bit more in Europe and getting there, and it's a different time. I think there's more stability at Tottenham, whereas Chelsea they have quality, but is it excellent? I'm not too sure really. That's the judgment with them. Moving on to the top four, we'll look at all the top four. It includes Man United, Arsenal, Man City, and Liverpool. Man United in fourth place. I think they can go and climb back up. I mean, it was a really disappointing season. Very surprising they did quite bad actually. I have a thing. I find it quite tough to pick out the issues and problems in teams, and it's the same with Man United. I think it was quite unfortunate. I mean, they won the FA Cup. Eric Ten Hag, you can't deny, has been good for them, but when they're not achieving that European football that Man United is known for, then the teams will get disappointed. I just realised they have qualified for the Europa League, but they finished 8th in the league. It was poor. It was poor, but I think I'm on about the top spots, not the European spots. You'll get what I mean. But I think they can climb back up. Good brand of football, bringing in new players. Lenny Yoro, if he's good or not, whether he's good. Joshua Zirkzee, who's a good physical striker. I think they'll do all right, and getting that top four spot should be theirs if they just play the football that they did, especially in the first season as well. I think last season, as I say, it was an interesting one. I don't know how they fell off so hard, but I think they will bounce back. Third place, Arsenal. Is it their time to do it this season? I'm not too sure. We'll have to see. I think third place is probably where they'll be. I think I want to put them up in comparison with Man City, so I think it'll be these two that battle out for second and third this year. It'll be a close battle. I think what we saw last year from them was a good brand of football, but Arsenal just collapsed at the end again, and it must be really frustrating for them that they were so poor by the end. I think it will be these two, and I think they'll still be the same level of football, but it will just push them one step below because I believe the champions of this season, I think it will be Liverpool. I think Arne Slot is inheriting a job which is it comes with a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility, but at the same time, I don't think it's the hardest job. It really isn't the hardest job just because Liverpool finished, where did they finish? Third last year, was it? They were in the title race for a long time. I think Klopp announcing so early was a mistake, but Arne Slot, he plays good football from what I've heard. I can't say I've watched him particularly, but it's a good brand of football. He seems to know what he's on about. A young coach who's going to bring in new, fresh ideas. He inherits a good squad. I think they can go on and win it if they just replicate how they were playing a few years ago. There's definitely a trophy in there, and they should go back to that top spot and finally win another Premier League trophy. Whether it's this season or next season, I'm not sure, but I think it's a completely different story to what, for example, Eric Ten Hag had when he inherited that Man United job. I think there's stability at Liverpool. They've got everything they need to be a top club, and maybe they've missed out on it in recent years, but they've won the Champions League with Klopp and the Premier League, but they want a bit more from a Liverpool team who's won the Champions League, what, 6 times now? I think Arne could do that, comes into a good job, and I think they'll go on as a bit of a kind of unknown, a bit under the radar. I think they'll go and overtake the presence of Man City and Arsenal. I think Arsenal just don't have that element. I think they've got amazing players, but whether or not they have that, the kind of it's an added element that you need to your game to know that you want to win a title. And I know they've been there twice now, but whether or not they can keep doing that, I'm not too sure. Man City, if it's Pep's last season, whether or not they'll continue to play at the level that they are, I don't know. Teams might break it down. It's always changing, it'll always be changed in the bid to stop teams adapting to their tactic, but at the same time, teams are getting used to this boring brand of football that City play. It wins games, but it is boring. And I think the right team will come along and hopefully break it down, and that could possibly be Liverpool as the Premier League champions of 2024-25. So that is my Premier League predictions. You can see them all there. I think I won't get most of them right. I did a Premier League prediction table last year over on the FootMob app. I would be doing this on the FootMob app if it was released. The Premier League predictor it was released now, but it isn't, unfortunately. But FootMob, if you want to sponsor me, make sure to do so. I came like top 1% in that, if I'm not, I'm fairly certain. So I did all right. I know what I'm on about. But yeah, I think there's some good predictions in here, some bold ones as well. I think that's what it's all about, really. So once again, thank you for watching. If you did enjoy that video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'll leave you with this little tune, and I'll see you again for the next video. Thank you. Bye.